Welcome everyone to this webinar, the Emerging Technologies and New Digital Era for Public Sector. We're going to wait a couple of minutes until everyone is connected, and please make sure that you can listen us properly and see the presentation. Let us know in the chat box, in the question section that you have here in your site, if you have any issues with any technical issues with the presentation. Okay, welcome everyone again. In this presentation, the Emerging Technologies and New Digital Era for Public Sector, we're going to see some use cases of blockchain for public administration and innovation. As you already know, the public sector is responsible for many areas of trust services, and there's a growing demand to fight corruption, improve transparency and security, and reduce the inefficiencies that the current system is developing. The public sector, especially the government, has shown a significant interest in these new technologies, especially in blockchain. In this webinar, Loha Hashimi will explain the blockchain potential implications for governments. And the main points of this session would be the public sector at a glance, if the blockchain fits the government, some use cases of blockchain in public administration, some opportunities and the challenges that the governments are facing, and then we will do questions and answer sessions. We have here as presenter, well, the one who's going to present the webinar. The technical part of the webinar is Loha Hashimi. Loha works as an innovation consultant at Knowledge Innovation Market, KIM Global. She helps public and private entities in transferring innovative projects and the development of digital transformation strategies. She's currently affiliated with the Autonomous University of Barcelona, and she's having she's a candidate of a PhD. She investigates to uptake of distributed ledgers technologies and its impact of the adoption of open innovation by small and medium enterprises. She has more than 8 years of experience at different international organizations as DAI and Woman, UNoodle, and right now she works as visiting researcher at Frankfurt School Blockchain Center. My name is Cristina Doma. I'm the product manager of the Digital Transformation and Blockchain programs at Ziggurat Business School, and before was the marketing manager of this same school. About Ziggurat, this is a business school focused on innovation and technology, with the aim to change the educational sector and contribute to the development of the society through disruptive training and digital transformation. Our main values are to be at the global scope, the innovation, the community that we're building, the commitment, and the dynamic education. Coming from Ziggurat Global Institute of Technologies, a mother brand that was founded more than 17 years ago, they wanted to create a new disruptive institutional education, and these are the three principal programs that we have at this moment. These are the Global MBA in Digital Business, the Master in Blockchain Technologies, and the Master in Smart City Manager. So welcome, Loha, and when you want, we can start with the technical presentation about the blockchain in public sector. Loha?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, yep. Now we can hear you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Christina, and welcome everyone to today's webinar, where we will be talking about the applications of blockchain for public sector. But before starting or deeping dive to the content of the presentation, I would like to give a brief introduction to knowledge innovation market and what we are doing. So Knowledge Innovation Market was founded in 2007 by the Chamber of Commerce of Barcelona and Leida Technology Center. And the aim of this initiative was stimulating the knowledge economy and promoting open innovation. So KIM is a technology transfer company that bridges the tech sources with market. On the one hand, it screens the technologies that are generated in the research centers, universities, and labs, and commercialize them in the market. And on the other hand, it scouts the needs of the market and transfers them to the research entities in order to find a solution for the existing market needs. The services that we provide, obviously, one of the main services that KIM is providing is technology transfer. But besides, we're providing asset valuation, commercialization of the technologies, creation and implementation of business models, IP protection or intellectual property protection, financing to the startups and new technologies, value chain and research and development marketing, lean innovation, systemization of innovation, business build-up, and in-house training. These are some of the services or the main services that knowledge innovation market is providing. So now you might think, what is blockchain? Hopefully most of you already know what is blockchain, but I will give a short introduction or my point of view of what is blockchain. So before, people used email in order to send, or still people are using emails in order to send information such as document, text, images to other parties or their peer colleagues. And then imagine that instead of just sending the documents that can be copied, now you're able to send values such as money within a click. The technology that can actually that facilitates this kind of transaction is blockchain. So with internet, it was really easy to transfer information from one person to another. And with blockchain, it is possible to transfer value. So everyone might remember, or most of you might remember, the era when people were sending postcards from one country to another or from one person to another. And now it has been changed mainly with email. So before, with the content of a postcard, which is mainly information or data, it was transferred through postal cards, and now they are transferred with email. Now imagine that since right now the value assets such as houses, cars, financial assets, now they're all registered within paper. They're all documents that are registered or that are going to a governmental process or a jurisdiction, and only after passing through the process you can have access or own the asset. And now blockchain can actually facilitate the transfer of this value. So imagine that in future, the license of or the certificate or title of your land is not anymore just in paper. It is tokenized, and it is in a virtual economy, or in a virtual system, where you can easily transfer this digital certificate from one person to another. So we are moving towards the Internet of Value. With the first versions of Web 1 and Web 2, the data is copied. It is sent from one user to another user. And as I already mentioned, the types of data that can be sent are text, images, videos, or music, etc. But now blockchain actually enables the transfer of ownership, and the types of transactions can vary from intangible assets such as currency, shares, copyrights, and patents, to tangible assets such as real estate and goods, or obligations such as contracts and pledges. Governments usually end up on the receiving they're ending up receiving lots of criticism for not handling most of their process with efficiency. Often, mundane kinds of transactions are where people interface with governments. For example, getting proof of your identity, or proof that a car or real estate is owned by you. And today, you have to bring your documents in person, and the relevant agency rubber stamps it. This is a hodgepodge, actually, mistake-prone way to do business in a digital age. There are lots of unique opportunities for city and state governments to leverage blockchain technology. Blockchain experiments actually in the public sector are accelerating globally, with a concentration in the US and Europe. Mainly, you can notice that although in 2014 and 2015, there were no public initiatives related to blockchain, in 2017, 117 initiatives in 26 countries were either in progress, planned, or were announced. Some of the main active use cases of blockchain for public sector were listed as digital currencies, land registry, voting, identity management, supply chain, traceability, healthcare, and voting, proxying, again, the voting system, corporate registration, taxation, and entitlement management. And now you can see the progress that in 2018, the number of initiatives were increased to 203 blockchain initiatives in 46 countries. And some of the main use cases listed were, again, identity, so establishment and maintaining identities for citizens and residents, such as birth certificates, marriage licenses, visas, and death records. Personal records, such as interoperable health records, insurance records, and etc. And land title registry, such as detailed and historic records related to real estate and property transactions. Supply chain management, and also benefits and entitlements and aids, such as social security, medical benefits, payments, domestic and international aids, and contracts and vendor management. Blockchain is used for tracking and paying vendors, and managing purchase commitments and transactions, and monitoring scheduled performances. It can also be used for voting. Blockchain enables new methods of digital voting, and it ensures eligibility, accurate counting, and auditing. Another use case of blockchain for public sector is streamlining integrity processes. Blockchain and smart contracts can actually automate transaction handling and improve information sharing. These were some of the use cases that were listed by OECD. But why you think government should be interested in implementing blockchain? So we all know that governments are tasked with facilitating transparency, especially in governance, distribution of resources, and achieving greater efficiencies. Actually, for these reasons, the governments of many countries have expressed interest in the technology. Blockchain applications for governments might be the missing link towards helping governments to become fully digitalized. So there are very key uses of blockchain in governments, and here are some of the situations in which the technology can be applied to make things better. Blockchain actually can be used to facilitate legal enforcements. Governments can use public blockchain data to monitor transactions and to facilitate legal transactions and stop money laundering. Legislation records, blockchain can be used, or decentralized ledgers can be helpful to governments in record keeping, and governments can actually keep records of all the legislation reports in a better way. Using blockchain bills and payments can be improved from the traditional billing and payment systems. Blockchain can be used in welfare distribution, and it can be used in digitized aids. With decentralized ledgers, governments can implement digital IDs for the citizens. We know that lots of people, not only in Europe, mostly in Asia and Africa, they usually lack passports or identities. Blockchain is a really beneficial technology in order to issue digitalized identities, and through the digitalized identities, digitize also the healthcare services, for example, where governments can improve healthcare services by utilizing distributed ledgers, and blockchain can be used for cyber protection. Governments can use blockchain technology to protect vital government infrastructures against cyber attacks and acts. Blockchain can be used for security and safety. With blockchain technology, governments can provide better social security against online fraud. It can be used for taxation. So with decentralized ledgers, governments can foster better transparency in solving tax issues. So they are some of the main applications that blockchain can improve the services that the governments provide. And governments can use data from public blockchains to track the financial dealings, similar how to fiat money transactions are monitored. So currently, governments on all continents except Antarctica are engaged in blockchain pilot projects, and the public sector is responsible for many areas of trust and services. So there are a large number of use cases across countries, including the European Union, where blockchain is used for anti-counterfeiting, usually in Estonia, where they have like the digital government, and US, they're using blockchain also for anti-counterfeiting. In China, mainly it's used for payments, in India also for payments or land registry. In Switzerland, they mainly use blockchain for identity. In Denmark, they have started using blockchain for voting. Dubai is another country where the governments want to digitalize the all administrative services. In Georgia, blockchain is used for land registry. In Gibraltar, it is used for stock exchange. So let's deep dive into some of these initiatives and talk in details about what's going on around blockchain for public sector. So since 2012, blockchain has been in production use in Estonia's data registries, such as the National Health and Judicial and Legislative Security and Commercial Code systems, with the plans to extend its use to other spheres such as personal medicine, cybersecurity, and data embassies. The Estonian government also developed a blockchain-based national identity management system called ID cards. The latter has helped to significantly reduce the time that it takes for the government to deliver services to the country's citizens. Actually, Estonia claims that it started testing the technology already in 2008, even before the Bitcoin white paper was published. And it was termed as, it was not, of course, it was not called blockchain. At that time, they were calling it hash-link time stamping. Since 2012, blockchain has been in production use in Estonia to protect national data. And as I mentioned, e-services and smart devices, both in public and private sectors. Dubai is another country where the government is extensively using blockchain in order to digitalize the governmental system. So Dubai's government also hopes to become the first government that is powered by blockchain technology by 2020. This means that the government plans on integrating blockchain solutions into all its services, including visa applications, payment of bills, and renewal of licenses, etc. The aim is to bring blockchain applications in the public sector to improve government services. And Dubai estimates that it could save as much as $1.5 billion every year by paperless transaction system powered by blockchain. Dubai Land Department employing concise-based private network to automate and optimize end-to-end real estate business process using the blockchain technology. Mainly, blockchain is used in 3 initiatives for ownership verification and DLD mobile application and property sale by developer and a smart leasing process. And the aim is improvement of the process and providing the services, improving the collaboration with other parties involved in the real estate market, and also to create a secure digital asset. Another initiative comes from Singapore, a project called Project Ubin. So the Monetary Authority of Singapore conducted a study that found that interbank payments within Singapore and cross-border financial transactions were inefficient and slow. And they actually saw this opportunity where blockchain could improve the inefficiencies and in the system. So MAS, or the Monetary Authority of Singapore, they partnered with R3. R3 is a consortium of banks and regulators to create a prototype for a blockchain-based digital Singaporean dollar to facilitate digital transactions. And this would allow for interoperability of records through a decentralized trust system. But also, it will provide 24-hour processing with no centralized or human-based checks required. The partnership has successfully developed software prototypes of 3 different models for decentralized interbank payment that are now being explored. MAS also has published the source code as open source software on GitHub. And MAS and Singapore Exchange also announced on 24th, if I'm not mistaken, 24th of August of 2018, that it is collaborating to develop delivery versus payment capabilities for settlement of tokenized assets across different blockchain platforms. This will allow financial institutions and corporate investors to carry out simultaneous exchange and final settlement of tokenized digital currencies and security assets. And it can improve operational efficiencies and reduce settlement risks. Another application of blockchain in public sector is Binbin. Binbin is based in Ghana. And the problem that Ghana was facing was a lack of a systematic way to determine the legal existence of parcels and to track land ownership titles. This prevented authorities and property owners from having clear certainty and visibility over what belongs to whom, which was resulting in regular disputes. In addition, because previous processes were on paper, it could take over a year to register the sale or purchase of a property, which was a fraud risk for both sellers and buyers. And the solution that the government actually encountered was BinBin. BinBin provides an Ethereum-run digital register system of all land registries across Ghana, and it is able to certify land information through the cross-cutting of satellite imagery and on the ground verifications working hand in hand with local stakeholders in the land market. It aggregates all the information such that financial institutions and the lands commission have real-time access to the data. The property transaction time has been reduced by 75% using BinBin application, and court disputes have been reduced. Some of the key features that the government of Ghana is actually is claiming that BinBin provides is the use of blockchain in order to remove the characteristic of infinite reproducibility from a digital asset. It also, using blockchain, the government can write end-to-end property transaction on the real estate on the real estate, and blockchain can also provide a scalable, secure, transparent, and shared immutable property data to all the participants of the trusted networks. It also eliminates paper documentation and replaces it with the digital records and digital signed documents. It eliminates the manual processes by integrating required stakeholders that are participating in the process, such as customers, developers, payment channels, etc. And through blockchain, the government can provide hybrid platform for a real estate market to be shared across different government or private entities to get benefit of real-time data and avoid manual processes to complete the transactions by participants. It can also facilitate sharing the information between entities to serve the open data initiatives, and it improves improves, secures, and simplify the overall property transaction process. It also increases the operational efficiencies. So some of the benefits that are listed here, they are found in the website of BinBin, where they claim that blockchain is a good solution for land registry. Another project is Vehicle Wallet in Denmark. Actually, as you might know, during a car's lifetime, it undergoes various phases and activities such as tests, for example, repair, loan, insurance, and changes in ownership. So sometimes you might sell your car to someone else. And when a car is sold from one person to another, there can be a lack of information from either the buyer or seller. On the seller side, the car could have undergone an undesirable rebuild, and so you might have an accident or even be stolen. And on the buyer's side, the buyer could actually never re-register the car, which could result in continuous taxes for the original seller. So the solution that the government of Denmark came up with was a vehicle wallet. So with the vehicle wallet, the government of Denmark is partnering between payment service provider and the Danish tax administration. It is a supply chain management tool where data concerning the car is saved in one distributed ledger and creates one aggregate and shared record of the vehicle history as it is transferred across the supply chain. This reduces risks for the buyers and sellers and helps ensure Denmark receives all proper taxes. The Danish Customs and Tax Administration, SKAT, and NETS is the service provider, are collaborating on a proof of concept to ensure transparency and rightful ownership when buying and selling a used vehicle. The concept is meant to offer visibility throughout the life cycle management of a vehicle, from import to scrapping to the benefit of, in order to benefit both buyer and seller, as well as the tax authorities. Some other use cases of blockchain can be, for example, follow my vote. Follow my vote's ambition is to build a secure online voting platform that will allow for greater election transparency. And this system ensures that a vote is recorded. A vote is recorded only once in a token for a correct candidate, the same as in within a wallet and how Bitcoin works. Another initiative which I can mention is Active Citizen. This project was implemented by the government of Russia. In 2017, government of Russia announced that it is advancing its plans to conduct a pilot test on the effectiveness of blockchain technology and improving the local voting system. And the government further claimed that the technology will make its ongoing active citizen program more transparent. In its public statement released, as mentioned before, in 2017, the government said that it has already developed a pilot system for the monitoring of votes during elections through the blockchain. Although it's not implemented, it's still in pilot. And still the government is doing proof testing, but it's a good sign knowing that the active citizen project can add effectiveness and actually eliminate inefficiencies in the voting process, and it can improve the local voting system in the country. Another initiative is Mayor's Chain. Actually, George Galloway, a mayoral candidate of London in 2015, he claimed that he has implemented the blockchain technology as a part of 2016 campaign in order to create a platform that attempts to build 100% transparent records of the city's budget allocations and public funds. The software he proposed could keep track of public spending and let anyone see what's being spent and where. Although George Galloway, he didn't win, but what he proposed was probably a good idea. So now that we have already mentioned the applications of blockchain in public sector, it's also good to pinpoint the challenges and limitations that this technology is facing. So these challenges mentioned here, they come from OECD, and later on I will mention some other challenges. One of the challenges that blockchain is facing right now is immutability. So a blockchain is an add-only list. Once data is added, it can't be removed. Perhaps not. It's not a good good fit when updating or deleting data is a regular occurrence. So that's one of the challenges that the government is actually, when we are talking about immutability, government is concerned also with GDPR and the right to be forgotten. And it seems that they're not good matches with each other. In blockchain, once you enter a data, then it is really difficult to revoke it. Data storage, another challenge. Databases are often used to store large amounts of data, such as images, documents, and applications. However, blockchain is designed for small pockets of data. If data storage is needed, then blockchain may not be a good fit. Although a hybrid solution can be suggested. Adoption. So the act of explaining actually blockchain to public officials and civil servants is difficult. Delinking blockchain from Bitcoin and discussing how it can improve efficiency and strengthen mission effectiveness might be a way to go and talk with the public servants and public officials, but still it is difficult to convince public officials that blockchain is can be used for public sector efficiency. Another challenge is costs. Actually, in short term, the costs that are associated with blockchain are still high, which can prevent it from widespread use. Blockchain as a service products are starting to be offered that can allow for experimentation, but still for most of the governments it is a hassle to go through the initial costs. Another challenge is blockers. Actually, blockers is a term that got famous, and people often flag issues such as energy consumption and scalability as blockchain blockers problem. However, many of these are irrelevant to the government blockchain implementation, and only it applies to Bitcoin and the systems that are using proof of work consensus, usually on public blockchains. So coding and governance models can be another challenge. Blockchains are known for eliminating the need for central authority, but this is not entirely true. They must be coded and governed by those entrusted with key roles, and governments must build a technical knowledge base to ensure these decisions are made well. So before implementing blockchain and before implementing smart contracts, there are some governance issues, and if the government is not well educated itself, they cannot decide whether the smart contract is coded properly or how it will function in future. Some other challenges and limitations can be that blockchain is actually an evolving industry, and government IT departments that want to adopt blockchain solutions must deal with an industry that is evolving quickly. And such fast growth present challenges for IT decision making in governments. First, there are no widely standards, as mentioned here, for blockchain technology or the networks that operate them, and government IT organizations may therefore have a hard time assessing the quality of available solutions and determining how best to integrate them within their existing IT landscape. Then, because many blockchain providers are small startups, it may be difficult for IT and procurement departments to identify partners with staying, actually with stability and staying power. The other issue or challenge can be privacy. Even if governments could deploy blockchain that share data across public networks, they would still need to ensure that current and future encryption methods are strong enough to ensure user privacy. Since governments are dealing with a lot of data, then privacy issue in making sure that there will not be in future any company or any method to decrypt the private information that the users are providing is a major challenge, and leaders and government agencies will need to understand the legal and regulatory implications of blockchain. And they should know to what degree smart contracts might be binding, and can blockchain audit trials be used as evidence in courts, for example, or should the use of blockchain be mandatory in certain fields? At the same time, privacy risks would require constant attention, and even if governments could deploy blockchain and that share data across public networks, you still need to ensure that current and future methods are well developed and they work. So this was my part. Now I will switch the webinar. Christina wants to talk about a master that Ziggurat is offering. If you have any questions, please write them down in the question box in your GoToWebinar. And at the end of the session, we will try to answer the questions. If we will not enough time, then I will try to reach out by email and answer the questions that we get from the audience. Christina?
Thank you, Loha. Well, as Loha has explained, to give a solution and to try to implement all these technical solutions, blockchain solutions, to the public sector and to other industries, Ziggurat is trying to offer a master's in blockchain technologies. This master has a pretty interesting faculty board. The faculty board is built of real blockchain experts. Some of them are influencers in the blockchain world, and this is one of the key points that makes this program as special as it is. Some of the examples are the Gunther Dobraus, that he's the lawyer at PricewaterhouseCoopers Blockchain Center. Daniel Diemers, who is Innovation Strategy and Head of Blockchain EMEA. Sally Eves, who's in the Forbes Technology Council, and she's also implementing blockchain and advising in this field. Philip Sander, who is the Head of Blockchain Center at Frankfurt School. Guess Loha will know him as they are working together.
Yeah, sure. He's my supervisor.
Then Robin and Anders, that they are working in the European World Economic Forum and the German Entrepreneurship Center. They are also focusing on digital technologies and blockchain issues. Cambis, who has an EdgeCoin, he's the CEO of EdgeCoin, that is an educational blockchain institution. And then we have Edward Cottage, who is a founder engineer at Glassdoor, and Amit Parma, the CTO at Citibank. The professors are one of the main points of this program, as you will, well, the participants are learning from the original blockchain experts. About the program, This program is aimed to technical and business profiles as C-level executives, entrepreneurs, technicians, government officials, as Loha has explained, to have a better understanding about blockchain capabilities. The main points or the main topics that are taught there are the blockchain architecture, cryptocurrencies, smart contracts, and legal implications, among others. And the participant will be able to choose between two paths, depending on the professional profile. These two paths are the business path or the technical path. Once the program is complete, all participants will understand, assess, and apply blockchain, and would need to do a final project that will be focused on developing a blockchain software application if they have chosen the technical path, or a blockchain business model company if they have chosen the business path. The key points of this program are that it is a holistic program, and it is the most comprehensive program in the market, having the two paths for technical and business fields. It has a multi-sectoral approach. It not only covers the financial, legal, and software aspects as most of the other programs, but it also applies the technology to other areas such as supply chain, manufacturing, IoT, travel and transportation, among others. As you've seen with the professor, the faculty board is made of industry influencers. It has a true program path, so you can specialize and it's for any kind of professional profile. And the program has a global networking because the students, well, it's taught in English and it's online, so the students are from all over the world and they do really networking sessions there and joint ventures together. There's a professional project consultancy because when they do the final project, they get insights from all of the professors, each one from their specialty area, and you can develop your own project. So the final project is focused in your idea. If you want to create a new company based on blockchain or an application, and there's no options to choose and group projects to create the final project, but it's your idea to create it from scratch and leave the masters with your own blockchain project under your arm. And there's also a Barcelona Student Week where all the students from all the programs of Zurich are meeting for a full week here in Barcelona. And they have networking sessions, soft skill workshops, and technical workshops as well. The academic content of this program is separated in the introduction of blockchain fundamentals, the deep understanding of the technology and the economics, and then the application of the blockchain technology. That this one is divided into two paths, the business and the development path. And then depending on the path you've chosen, you have the final project that is the business model based on blockchain technology or the blockchain software application. Here you can see a bit in depth what is inside each of the blocks. And the first one in the introduction, there's a bit of cryptography and security, the trust and transparency economy, and basics of blockchain architecture. In the deep understanding, there's legal and regulation, cryptocurrencies, token economies, and ICOs, and advanced blockchain architecture. And in the application one, there's a first part of business applications and use cases. And then for the business part, the lean business modeling for blockchain, the challenges, scalability, and fear of blockchain, And then for the development path, the lean blockchain prototyping and development and the implementation of blockchain into existing enterprise software ecosystems. It could be either implementing to existing one or creating one from scratch. And also the project for each one. The platform that is used for these projects is Canvas, that is used by one of the most important universities, that's Harvard, among others. And this program has a dual degree and has a double certification by Ziggurat, the Innovation and Technology Business School, and by the University of Barcelona. And as I said before, there's the Ziggurat Student Week included in all our programs that includes on-site sessions for a full week, soft and hard skills, workshops, conferences, joint ventures, networking sessions, worldwide students in these 5 days in Barcelona, and it's done annually. And you can meet all the students from all the other masters and your professors on site. So it's a great opportunity to meet people and to do business. And this is everything about the masters. So if you have any questions, now it's the moment. You can write them down in the chat box that you have on your right side in the screen, and we will do it.
So we will go quickly, Christina. We have got some questions. We will quickly answer some of them, and the other ones probably, if we do not get time, I will. We are already running out of time. I will try to answer you by email. So one of the questions that we got is a rough estimation of how much it will cost for a government to implement blockchain. It actually depends, because if you apply blockchain only in one sector or for a specific thing, then the cost is relevant to that specific service. If the governments wants to apply it in multiple sectors and multiple services, in order to provide multiple services, then the costs should actually vary. Then we have another question, which is lack of internet. As you know, it is important to have internet, since the technology is based around the internet. For the countries that, as the person is mentioning, many people do not have access to internet across the world. So yeah, it's unfortunate that probably the people who do not have access to internet, they might not be able to use the blockchain technology. Although if in a country which is probably the case nowadays, if in the country there is some entities that they have access to internet, then they can have off-chain services, provide off-chain services to the citizens, and these citizens, they don't need to have a direct access to internet. But then we are again creating another middleman, which in my idea is what blockchain is all against too. There is another question is, with blockchain entries being immutable, does it, actually there are ways to revoke. There is a question which is asking, since blockchain entries are immutable, does that really mean that they cannot be updated via a new entry? They can be updated. Actually, you can create a new entry. What is the problem is that you cannot change the one that you created before. So what you can do is to update it, and then people can see that it was updated. There are also some ways nowadays. There are lots of research going on revoking the entries in the blockchain that was created before. So this problem hopefully will be solved soon. But the good point about blockchain is the fact that if something which was written in the past, if it is modified, then everyone can see who modified it, when, and even probably why. There is another question about other countries aside Estonia and UAE, Dubai, that are implementing blockchain or have blockchain initiatives. China, fortunately or unfortunately, China is one of the countries which is among the pioneers in blockchain initiatives. They have actually announced lots of funding, although they had a firm stand regarding cryptocurrencies, but they have announced a lot of funding for the support in order to support the development of blockchain focused enterprises. Japan has got also Tokyo Camp, where the government is investing a lot. US is another country which is focusing lately on blockchain. Australia, from the beginning, they were interested in the technology, and they have got this project where the government is investing $1.6 million in blockchain initiatives. Yeah, these are other countries. Actually, most of the countries, even Spain, is also interested in the technology. And lately, previous year, and they had this consortium with Alastria, where the government showed interest in implementing blockchain for public sector and eliminating inefficiencies that exist right now within the public administration. There's also another question about books and articles. I will relate it to blockchain for public administration. I will try to reach out by email, and I will send you some articles and books. There's another question for you, Christina, which is asking, when does the master program starts?
The master program started in March this year, and it will start again in April 2020.
Okay, great. So we are already out of time. I will reach out to the people to whom I didn't answer their questions. And it was such a pleasure to be with you today and talk a little bit about about blockchain and its application in public sector.
Okay, it was a pleasure for me too as well. Thank you, Loha, for your presentation, and thank you everyone for attending the webinar. Have a nice day.
Yeah, have a nice day. Bye-bye.